Hey everyone, I wanted to do a quick follow-up to my raised bed video. I'm getting ready to either this week or this weekend do a full-size raised bed, so about 8 feet long by about 4 feet wide, so about twice as deep as the ones that I made previously and showed you guys. If you haven't seen those videos, there should be a link in the corner here, I think, so you can go check that out. I'm going to kind of assume that you know the things that I mentioned there. I'm only going to go into a little bit of planning. But in making this larger size bed, I wanted to challenge myself to create a really efficient cut list. As I mentioned in the other video, I work with 2/6/8, in other words, a 2x6 piece of lumber that's 8 feet in length. And I do that because that's what fits in my car. So I wanted to just do some gridding and math and planning and see how closely I could get it. So I'll show you this a little better. So here's the top view of the raised bed, right? You probably remember how they interlocked at that corner with the small and the wide, and how we have these top pieces that cross. The top angled pieces are really what make what will define all the other lengths. This is basically my idea of a cut list. I want the long seat part to be as long as possible. I want the short side seated part to fit onto one board, and then all the other measurements come from that. So let me walk you through how this works. All right, here's what that efficient raised bed looks like. Here's our long side piece and the short side piece. These are 2x4s, 3 of them that attach to that long side piece. They'll be painted green, whereas this will stay a natural wood. Then when I create the short side piece, I'll have some 2x6s painted green that I'll offset and attach here, and then I'll be able to attach them all at this corner. So I know that I want this to be as long as possible, in other words, 8 feet long or 96 inches. And I know that if this is a 45-degree angle and a 2x6 board is 5.5 inches wide, then this will be 5.5 inches and this will be 5.5 inches. That means that this short side is 96 minus 11 is 85 inches long, which means then that this piece here is 85 inches long. Now, I do also have the width of these 2x6s to account for, and that width is 1.5 inches, give or take. So if I take that previous measurement of 85, add 1.5 inches and 1.5 inches, so 3, then these long boards are going to be 88 inches long. Follow along so far? So 2 of these guys, full length, and 6 of these at 88 inches long. So I'll end up having a minimal amount of scrap. Now, to get this short side seat to fit perfectly, the 2 of them, onto one 2/6/8, I know that I need to have them cross over in the center here. In other words, this, what I have as a dotted line, will represent the exact middle of the board. Now, I know once again, this length is 5.5 inches. This length is 5.5 inches, therefore this half length is 2.75 inches. Now remember, whenever you make a cut on a board, the blade itself will take out a small piece of the length. So I wanted to reduce this width by just like 1/4 inch, right? Just to make sure. So this length, 48 inches, plus instead of 2 and 2.75, just add 2.5. And then this length, this outer length becomes 50.5 inches. This then makes the inner length, subtracting that 11, 39.5 inches. And as you can see, that means that these short sides will also be 39.5 inches. So let's see how that looks on the board. 39.5 inches, you can get 2 of them on one board. It's a bit of wasted space, but that's okay. So we end up 3 boards cut like this. Now, there are still just a few pieces to cut. Basically, these bits, these vertical pieces that'll be painted green and serve as connectors for my horizontal pieces. Now, if you remember, these end up being the length of 3 2x6s width. And a 2x6 is 5.5 inches wide, so they end up being 16.5 inches wide. Oh, actually, that's less than this 18. Maybe there's room to do something else, squeeze something in here. Oh, that would be amazing. Let me do a little math real quick. You see, I'd marked these all out as 18 inches because the overall height of the bed, including the part that is the seat, is 18 inches. But in fact, there's 1.5 inches that I wasn't counting on. One sec while I do a little math. All right, so this is terrific. So this scrap piece down here is a little bit less than 17 inches. Basically 17 inches minus the width of 2 cuts. So originally I was like, 17 inches, that's no good, I need 18 inches. But I actually need 16.5 inches, so that's perfect. I can use this piece as one of my 16.5 inch lengths, and I'll get my other 3 necessary pieces. This is of the 2x6, which you'll recall there are only 4 of those needed. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll get 1 piece there, 3 pieces on this extra board, and I'll end up having a pretty long scrap piece left, which is nice. I could definitely use that in a future project. Now I'll also need to have 6, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2x4 cut to 16.5 inches. And unfortunately, that one, the math doesn't work out quite as well. I can get 5 of those cuts on one board, and then I'll end up needing to cut 1 extra board, 1 extra 2x4, which it's a little frustrating to have all of this length left over, but to be honest, I almost always have a bit of scrap 2x4 that's at least 16.5 inches lying around. So I'm not gonna end up wasting it. I'm just gonna pull this last one from my scrap. So that's my cut list to make 4 foot by 8 foot-ish garden beds. They will end up being 8 foot wide by a little more than 4 foot deep on the outside, measured like where you would be sitting on the edge. The inside, the bit that you'll fill with dirt, will be a little less than that, will be 85 inches on the inside by 39.5 inches on that side. So if you're making soil type calculations, it basically all works out the same anyway. By the way, I got some soil delivered and it's great. I filled my raised beds that I've already made, and I'm excited to fill this one and get the huge pile of dirt off my lawn. Thanks for tuning in while I did nerdy math stuff and discovered greater efficiency that basically made my night. See you guys around.